guess y'all wasn't ready for that introduction. That's a new one for the 2025 season.
Nice. That was good.
Nice. Nice.
Okay.
Real good.
Good morning, everyone. This is another conversation with the guys. This is the third one of the year for the month of March, and we got some very impactful topics to talk about. I know we're finna hear some amazing responses, and the main thing is that you guys are going to get some information that y'all can apply to y'all life and hopefully make a difference and make some change for the better. So today, the topic is why young men are struggling, which is a very broad topic, but very, very important topic also, because there's a number of things. And so I'm not going to get into it. I'm going to let it flow. I'm going to let the guys just come in and bring their powerful words. And so first of all, I am Derek Durden, host of Conversation with the Guys. And I'm just a speaker, a coach, a mentor that pours into the youth and speaks on different platforms that really just uplift, inspire, and encourage young people. And we have none other than Deacon Dan, the first man of Conversation with the Guys and Build Your Best Life platform. Deacon Dan, please introduce yourself to the people who don't already know you.
And you done did a great job. Good morning. Good morning. I am Deacon Dan Smith. I am the husband of the most beautiful, bright, intelligent young lady, of course, Deborah D. Smith. We have 4 children, 3 boys, 1 girl. And I know the other day I was with my daughter, and she was in the store, and the lady told her, well, I was the only girl for so many years. And my daughter told her, yeah, I am the only girl. So I said, okay. But anyway, we have 7 grandchildren. And I am retired from law enforcement over 40 years. I still do some light stuff with different groups. But I am deacon in my church and chairman and treasurer. And I just love being here. I just love you guys meeting once a month. And we've done such a great job, and we're helping so many people. It's a blessing.
Okay. Next, we have none other than Coach Dr. Will Bond himself. If you would, please introduce yourself to the people.
All right, good morning to everybody that's out there, and everybody that's tuning in for this edition of A Conversation with the Guys. It's a great platform, and hope you enjoy the show today. I'm Coach Dr. Kevin Wilbon. I've been with the show for a couple of years now, and I am a author of 5 books, motivational speaker. I am also a retired military sergeant and of 24 years. I have my doctorate in education, and I'm just here, to lend my voice and to put out, necessary information that can hopefully be useful for, the single parents and not only single parents, but anybody that's watching this platform. So I'm definitely glad to be here. I'm married. I have 3 boys, 3 young men. And, I'm knee deep in this when it comes to young men. So hope y'all enjoy the show.
And last but not least, we have none other than Dr. Joseph Levitt. Please introduce yourself to the people.
Hey, first of all, good morning, everyone that's watching today. Please, if you haven't already, go like, share, invite your family, your friends, co-workers, everybody. I want to throw that plug in first, but I am Dr. Joseph Levitt. I am 32 years retired military. I'm married definitely to the lovely Tony Levitt, who actually is working on her dissertation, and hopefully, if all goes well, she'll be Dr. Tony Levitt this year in May. We have 4 children. We have now 11 grandchildren. We just had a brand new baby boy that was born on Monday morning, and this past Monday morning. So we already done made three visits this week. So we've been crowding him up, but we love him already, and he was ready to spoil him. But yeah, and then I've said I'm a retired Army. I'm currently a chaplain. Works at one of the local hospitals here. I've always loved pouring into young men. I've been doing it for so many years now, starting out years ago with Operation Save Our Sons, and then continuing on. I've just enjoyed it. I enjoy it because I want to see every young man be successful in life. So I'm enjoying it. I want to definitely thank Coach Deborah Smith, and I always call her Coach Dr. Deborah. But I want to thank her for the opportunity. Like Coach Wilburn said, I've been on the platform, I think, about 2 years now. So, and we've been having so much fun, and at the same time, we get to be impactful to young men and young women, and particularly even mothers. So I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Great introduction out there, you guys. And the topic, as I said previously, is why young men are struggling. I know each one of y'all have some valuable input to apply to this. So let's just get right into it. The first question is, let's talk about the workforce. Coach Wilburn, can you tell us, why are these young men struggling so much when it comes to the workforce?
Well, that's a great question, and I have a couple of answers for that. My first answer would be, because of the lack of the necessary skills for this economy. The economy is changing so much, and you have to have the different skill sets for what's out there. And the young men, they don't have those skills. So when you don't have skills like that, you cannot prevail. You cannot move on. So I think that they need to get the skills to be able to work in these different jobs, these different things that's out there now. And I also think it's a societal pressure of being the primary provider. And what I mean by that is, if they are in a relationship with someone, and they're not actually making the money that they want to make, that's a pressure. And when you have that type of pressure, then that in turns goes to mental health concerns. You know what I'm saying? So it's a whole lot of different things out there, and they definitely need that career guidance. The lack of career guidance is another thing that I feel that's one of the reasons why the young men are struggling out there. But the lack of necessary skills for this economy, that's my number one answer for that question.
Okay, great answer, great insight. Having the skills in this society, especially for this workforce, is changing. The skills that were really important at one point are now becoming obsolete. And so I think for you, Dr. Levitt, are the schools preparing these young men correctly for the shift that's happening? Or what is it that really is the problem with the preparation for these young men going into the workforce?
I do think that there's been some depreciation in schools over the years. There's been some depreciation as far as holding these kids accountable. Some of them they're getting passed just so they can get them out of their class, because they're a nuisance to their class, or they cut up, or they do a lot, and that means that they're not held to no accountability. They're not held to no responsibility. But I think, and to go along with that, what's hurting in a lot of young men getting in the workforce is they have a lack of discipline. A lack of discipline. They have a lack of work ethic, because now when kids are little, we sticking them electronics in their face when they real little, and that's all they want to do. They just want to sit there, and the only work ethic they have is knowing how to move their thumb on that game and watching that game. So we don't take them out. I've been trying, especially having my grandson here. I've been trying to take him out and do things in the yard and teach him how to do things. Going out, taking him fishing in the backyard. You know, we can fish. We got a little pond right behind the house. So I've been trying to do some things with him that teach him, you know, just how to do more than just get on the video game. You know, so lack of discipline. And when you have lack of discipline and lack of good work ethic, which means they haven't been taught how to do nothing, they don't even know how to pick up a rake and rake a yard. And when that leads to a lack and depreciation of the necessary skills they need. Now, remember, we all of us, and I can almost probably bet all three of us, being kind of older gentlemen, coming up in life, a lot of the skills I learned when I was a young man by my uncles and my coaches and all of that, all of them skills, a lot of them skills I learned back then, they helped me in life.
Mm-hmm.
I learned how to keep my mouth shut when I went in the Army. I didn't go in there trying to tell them and running my mouth. I learned how to keep my mouth shut and just do what I was told to do, and life would be good.
Mm-hmm.
I did that, and it worked. So I think that for me, I would say a lack of discipline and lack of work ethic is what leads to a depreciation of obtaining those necessary skills to advance in life, especially in the workforce.
Great insight. And Deacon Dan, by you being a retired law enforcement, let's talk about this. If you don't have a good job, if you're not able to be fruitful in the workforce, the alternative is 9 times out of 10 the streets. So if they're not, what is it that you think that makes them not be able to be successful in the workforce? And what does that alternative look like as far as the end result of not being that helpful in the workforce?
Okay. Now I'm gonna give a little statistics. You know, these young men are struggling today. You know, and they're 3 times more likely to overdose.
Wow.
4 times more likely to commit suicide, and 14 times more likely to go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, according to the Violence Projects, 98% of mass shootings have been committed by young men. So one of the things is social isolation. Young men, you know, between the age of 18 and 30, they spend nearly 20% of their time alone. And especially in 2023 compared to 2019, which can cause an issue of mental health and social development. So, I mean, you know, you don't have anybody to give you guidance, no mentors. You just out there down on yourself, and then you develop that mental problem. You don't get no help. You don't seek no help. But that's one of them, you know, just like I say, social isolation. And that's not good for a young man. You need to have people around him that can give him advice. You know, if he stray off, get him back in line. We got this in here. And I have a young man, he's dating my granddaughter, my oldest granddaughter. And me and him was talking. So he wants to learn some stuff. He has a full-time job, but when he's off, he always calls me and say, hey, I want to go with you. What do you got to do today so I can learn other things? And we got to talking, and he was telling me about, you know, he went to college. He went to college for some type of medical assistant. But anyway, the college hadn't developed that program yet, and then they found out they wasn't going to develop that program. So in the following year, he dropped out. And he always tell me, man, I just, you know, kicked myself, and I wish I never did it. So I told him, I said, well, you got a second chance. You can go back and do what you got to do. But, you know, another one is a fatherless childhood. Young men grow up with their fathers at home can lead to young men being unmotivated, stagnant in their 20s, and trash likely to have been in jail by the age of 30. And I see that a whole lot by me being in law enforcement, that these young men, they don't have no guidance, stagnated. And I think, now when we was coming up, mama had to Daddy ain't had to do a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
Mama had that strong hand, and you gonna do it. Mama say, mama say do something, you gonna do it. But these days, the young ladies are feel like they need their fathers. I don't know if it's a lack of what can I call it? I don't want to say education. Just they don't have that uh, get up and go or power or whatever over their kids as our parents did. You know, because our parents said, "Hey, sit over there, be quiet. You know, do this, do that." You did it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I heard Dr. Levette talking about raking the yard. Hey, your parents said, "Go out there and rake the yard." She had to go out there and rake the yard. And the father was out making, taking care of the family. But most time we had both parents working.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that the young women. I always tell them, I say, hey, you have just as much power over them young kids because you their mother, you birthed them. Don't slide because their father not in their life. Because we have, you can find a mentor, your brother, your uncle, grandparents. They can be great mentors for the kids, but you got to allow them to do it. And stop saying, well, I grew up like this and I ain't gonna let my child grow up like that. I think that's one of the biggest problems too.
Yeah, them statistics are really, really powerful. Just knowing the difference what one decision can make. Because these decisions that we're making is really changing the trajectory of not only our lives, but the lives of the generations that come behind us. So let's tap into another subject. Young men are not attending college or they're dropping out their first year. And you guys have education. Y'all have an educational background. So let's talk about that. Like, how important is that? Like, what is the alternative? What are the different options when it comes to school or not attending school? If you would, Dr. Wilborn, start us off.
Okay. As far as school, I think that the institutions need to provide support for these young men. A lot of times they're not getting the support that they need and support that they're lacking. And if they get that type of support, that will encourage them or even, motivate them a little bit more to want to stay into school. Also, I think the school needs to reduce financial barriers for, the people that's at school, the young men or whatever, because, that right there is a big one in itself, trying to afford, school and having to worry about student loans and debt and stuff like that. If they, can reduce financial barriers, that's another thing that would help. Also, they need to improve, the mental health services at the schools. It's real. A lot of people are always saying, all of a sudden everybody want to talk about I need a mental health break. I want to do this and do that. But it's real. I mean, look at what's going on in the world today. A lot of people are struggling, when it comes to their, their mental health, and also I think the schools need to be, well, not just the schools, but the students, the young men need to, stay in touch with the school, and get that support that they need. They're not going to come to you. You need to go to them. And the reason why I'm saying this is because being a doctor in education, I see a whole lot, what's going on, with kids, when it comes to stuff like that. They feel like they're not even, important, and they feel like the school is not giving them that support that they need, but communication is the key. The administrators need to actually talk to them about career possibilities and, encourage them to take breaks every now and then, because they'll get burnt out. And then when you get burnt out, you drop out. I mean, and that's just a real statement. I know grown people, they go to school and, and after a while they get burnt out, they drop out and they never go back, And then lastly, I think for the administration and the colleges, in order to keep these kids in school, these young men, give them, encourage them to consider, a different school if that school is not working for them. Because a lot of times people drop out because they feel like, okay, this is not for me. Don't, let them drop out, encourage them to go to a different school or even take a gap year off. So that's my answer on that question.
Okay, great insight. And Dr. Lovett, if you would tune in and chime and give us your input on why young men are struggling, especially in their first year of college.
I think a lot of times they don't have a pusher. They don't have somebody to let them know that dropping out is not an option. That you got to keep going no matter what. I'm here to help you. So when they don't have that lack of mentorship, when they have that lack of mentorship and they don't have nobody to push them, because a lot of times what we're seeing a lot of now, we get kids and some of them, they're getting to college, but they never really still had a mentor. And then now they get to college, and that's a different ball game. When you get to college, it's that they give you the work and you got to do it. It ain't a whole lot of instructions like it was, because they expected you to do all of that getting in school, taking all those tools in high school and middle school and using those tools when you got into college life. Well, and that's what happened. It's a lack of mentorship. And if they don't have nobody, when it get tough and hard, it's easy for them just to walk away and drop it. It's easier for them because to them, that's the only alternative they got. They don't see that they still got an alternative to push a little harder, go ask for help. Letting them know it's okay to ask for help. Letting them know it's okay to be a geek. If they call you a geek, so what? Because at the end of the day, you're going to have a degree.
That's right.
And they're not. So you got to let them know it's okay to be a geek and you still can be cool in society. Because that's, the optics of the generation now that's before us. The optics is I got to look a certain way. I got to dress a certain way. But then when you go to college, they're going to have certain parameters and certain things you can't do that pertain to what you do now. And you got to be able to say, you know what? It's just like going in the military. Mm-hmm. If you go in the military, they're going to cut all your hair off. You think you're going to go in there with a style and you get in that chair and tell that barber what you want, he going to just grab that clipper and he going to go right down the middle of your head. I'll cut it all off. So, it's just letting them know it's okay to be a geek, if that's what you want to call it, whatever they want to call it in their society. And then the last thing I want to say is one of the other things that I think that contributes to them dropout rates is because they never had enough community involvement. They didn't have that community involvement, some programs in the community. Yeah, we have some programs out there, but the question becomes, are those programs really effective? Mm-hmm. And we have to examine and assess programs, because programs need to be assessed and reevaluated every year. Not every 3 or 4 years or when it started declining. No, if it's reassessed every year, you kind of adjust to what's going on and then make it still fit their culture and so that they can still move forward and advance in life and not fall behind. Because once they fall behind, it's hard to catch up.
Right.
So that's my take. I'm sorry, I took a little long one there.
You went to Bishop Lovett just then. Got a little passion. Okay. Deacon Dan, I know you got to come behind him, but I know you're gonna give us something that only you can bring. So, what's your perspective of why are young men struggling their first year in college?
Well, I want to say this first of all. 60% of all college students are women. In the last year, college lost 1.5 million students in the past several years. And guess what? Men accounted for 71% of that. 71%. But I think one thing the college need to promote career pathways that allow male interests, providing target support system within. They need to, I guess, offer. I don't know. I hadn't been in. I graduated from college in 1975. You know, that's been a while. But back then, at least we had counselors when you sat, you know, going in a college. I hope they still have that. I got a grandson, and I'm gonna find out some information from him. But boys are more likely to think they don't need a degree for the job they want. But when they do enroll in college, work opportunities lure them away. So, in other words, you in college, and all of a sudden you just come up there with the, okay, hey, there's a job right there. We're offering you $50,000. They're gonna lure you away from college. Your mind is looking at money and not education. So they get lured away from college. Then they found out, oh, this is not what I want. And also, like a role models and guidance, mentorship. Many young men like positive male role models or mentors who can provide guidance. And that's one of the things that we need to do. As men, especially, I know the three of us, we have opportunities to guide these kids in the right direction, help them in things they're going in, even telling them that, okay, if college is not for you, let's get you a career in some HVAC, carpenter, electrician, and a trade. So they can advance in what they're doing and not out there in the streets. Because when you're out there in the streets, you come and think of anything, and you got some fellows you're hanging with, and they're all doing the same thing. So what are they gonna do? They're gonna get you in trouble. It really is. So the young men, they're dropping out, and one of the things, like I said, one of the reasons they're dropping out the first year, when you get them job opportunities, these college, they have people that come put stuff on the board, and they look at that. Oh, I'm going to apply for this. They get the opportunity to do it instead of go ahead on and get that degree. So this is what they're dropping out.
Okay. I want to stop here for a minute and really just go in real quick. Obviously, I'm the youngest person on this panel right now, and I sometimes have to have the voice for the younger generation. And so, college is important, but also let's look at the point that how many people do we know go to college, get degrees, and then do not work in that field? And then not only that, they went to college all these years, racked up so much student debt that they have to pay back, and then they're not even using that degree. But now we have so many different tools for learning. We have all these different apps and platforms that we can get technical skills that are very applicable in today's time. So why would I go to college for 4 years, 8 years, 12 years, when I can go straight into these digital courses? Like right now, I'm taking a digital marketing course through Cornell University. I can take that digital marketing course for 8 weeks, get certified in digital marketing, and take that same certificate that I just took 8 weeks to earn and take that to a company and get a digital marketing job. Compared to going to school for all these years. And then digital marketing is something that's going to last forever, because that's how the times have changed.
Yeah,
so yeah, exactly. So it's about, at this point, it's about being effective. The tried and true, go to college, get a good job, retire. That financial path has really started to become outdated to a certain degree. There are certain fields that you do need to go to college, as far as doctor, lawyer, engineers, all those type of jobs. But that's not really necessary for everybody. And college is not for everybody.
I was going to say that. It's not. Yeah. It's not.
And so, but college do teach you things. how to be out there on your own. That's like a rites of passage. When you go from being at home in high school with your parents there for you, you go to college, you get on your own, you have to face, you have to provide for yourself, you have to do what's necessary in order to really make it.
Yeah.
And it teaches you discipline because you got to get up and go to school or you fail. You got to do different things to really prepare yourself to be successful in life.
Mhm.
But without that, you got these teenagers that's 19, 20, 23, 25, still at home with mom without the necessary skills and qualities in order to be successful on their own. And so I think that that's really the thing that we really need to talk about. What as parents, what are we doing or not doing to prepare our kids? Are we covering them? Are we holding them? Are we protecting them from society? Are we protecting them from being the people who they need to be? What are we doing as parents or not doing as parents? If you would, Dr. Levette, I think that's the most important thing. What are we doing as parents to prepare or not prepare these young individuals to get out here and become successful adults?
It kind of go back to something I said earlier. If we don't give them accountability and responsibility at a young age, we often are leading them down the path of laziness and non-engagement. So they're not going to get engaged in anything, and if they're going to only become lazy. If we don't, so as parents, we got to stop letting electronics raise our children. We're hearing that term a whole lot more now. That electronics are raising our children and not raising them. Excuse me. And I understand that sometime in the homes, particularly when you have a single mother and they out there working 1 and 2 jobs just to try to make it in life, I get it. I get it. But that's why I go back to, I said, programs in the community. Like like I said, my grandson is here with us, for still some months to come. But right now we have him, he's in karate right now. He's at karate and he took that up, wanted to do it. He wanted to play sports here, but by the time he got here, it was too late for him to get in. But he found something. We found something that's that can get him off that game. Is not wanting to just be on the game and on phones and all that. We restricted their time. All our grandkids, right? They have restricted times on being on the devices and stuff, and that's because if we don't engage them, then we start setting them up for that failure, to become lazy and not to become engaged, which then they lose the motivation and the drive to go be something great. And when they don't have nothing that, if they don't have that, and I love what you said earlier, we gotta stop. And I'm glad you said that, Derek, earlier, because one of the things we stopped, even as parents, as older parents, we stopped doing was telling our kids about going to college. We're telling them there's other things. There's college, there's the military, there's trades. Matter of fact, I was just telling my grandson the other week, do you not know that a master welder makes 6 figures a year? A master welder, no college degree, but he got a welding certificate and done took some advanced welding courses and worked their way up. And a master welder makes 6 figures. So there's things that we can do to with that, but the main thing, like I said, we can't let them become lazy and have no effort in life.
Can I interrupt something right quick, Derek? Something that you had said about go to college, and once you graduate, you don't go in that field. I am a recipient of that. I went to college. My major was business administration. I graduated, and I went into law enforcement. I come out in June. Well, let me see. June, yeah. Came out in June, but in April, I've got this gentleman that came to me and said, "Hey, they're hiring black agents, and I think you're an outstanding young man. You was given a good report from one of the pastors, and would you like to, enter into that?" And I thought about it. I said, well, I'm in business administration. But then I thought about something. I said, oh, I got to be flexible because I got a degree in business administration. Now I'm finna go in law enforcement. It's not my main, but that degree in business administration helped me in law enforcement. I had to take some of that with me because, in my last 10, 12 years, I was supervisor. So I had to do budgets. I had to do evaluations of my officers, like that. But that helped me in doing so. But what I'm saying, you got to be flexible. You just say, because you come out with a teacher's degree, okay, you might want to go and teach it. I got a daughter-in-law. She got a doctor's now. But that was, she was a vice principal in the school system. She left that inside of her own businesses. Started a STEM school.
Wow.
And one of the successful STEM school here in Jacksonville. And she said something, she had a gala because I didn't know that a private school closed. And the councilman came to her and said, hey, we got 150 students misplaced. Can you take them? Just like that. Can you take 150 students? She had to think about it, but she was able to incorporate them 150 students into her school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so all I'm saying is you got to be flexible. You can get that degree in business administration, teaching or whatever. But I ain't talking about, that if you got a doctor, getting a doctor because you got to go 8 years or better to become a doctor, MD doctor, those trades like that. But if you got some other type of trades, you got to be a little bit flexible.
Yeah, and I want to add a little bit something to that too. I know this is, like you said, that's a very long and broad and wide subject. But what both of those gentlemen were talking about, I wholeheartedly agree with. Just like in the military, Dr. Levette, he can tell you, we did a lot of cross training. We may have went into the military for one thing, but then once we got up in there, they made us do a whole lot of different things. I went in the military because I really wanted to be a lawyer. That was my main focus when I went in the military. I didn't score high on the ASVAB in order to do that when I went in. So I ended up being a logistics NCO, but once I got into the military, they actually had me in the MP company. I was working with the military police. I became an armorer, in charge of all of the weapons and everything that they had there in the military. Then I ended up being a barracks NCO, being in charge of buildings and stuff like that. And before I retired, I ended up, doing small purchases and contracting. So it's different things that, that the kids can do, and not hold them to just one thing. Us as parents, a lot of times we want to, have the kids live out the dreams that we have for them. But, you got to understand that, they have dreams and aspirations and, push them into, what they really want to do. And if it doesn't work out, there are other alternatives and different things that they can do. But the thing is, a lot of times parents want their kids to do this. Well, I have dreams of you being a doctor. I have dreams of you being a lawyer. You should do this. You should do that. A lot of times we need to sit down, talk to them, and listen to what they have to say. Because a lot of times they may have something that they really, really are good at, and we're not giving them a chance, to do that. I'm not saying, to tell them not to work and not to make money, but at the same time, they should be able to, get a job, do whatever they need to do, and then on the side, whatever that their plans are for the long term, they can, work on that. So I would say, as parents, and I'm saying this, to the single, mainly the single, parents out there. A lot of times these kids have aspirations of doing, other things, and it takes time. Nothing comes, overnight. So it does take time, but it can happen. So I wouldn't force college or anything on the kid. Of course, I went to school or whatever. I got 5 degrees, but that's because that's something that I wanted to do. That was on me, but I've never forced my kids to do anything like that. So we have to be leery and we have to be, cautious and careful with what we do when it comes to, our kids' aspirations or whatever. But just like the two gentlemen, just said, Dr. Levette and Deacon Dan, don't, let them get lazy. They still need to get out there and they still need to work. So I just wanted to interject and put that in there.
Y'all bringing the heat today. I just spark. I'm just a spark. Y'all the one who really ignite the fire. So Deacon Dan really, he gave us some great statistics earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And what they lean to is that the great shift that's happening, where women are becoming the heads of household, women are becoming the ones who make more money than the men, where women are becoming the individuals who are actually in the role of leadership in most households, especially in the up and coming generations. So as parents, as us men, what is necessary for that shift to happen and shift back to where these young men can start being in a position to be leaders, being in a position to provide for their families instead of being provided for? What is necessary for that shift for the man to be the head of the household again? Who would like to start this one off?
Can I start this out real quick? I know I just finished talking, but let me tell you this real quick. I think, and it's going to be a quick answer. It's not going to be long and drawn out. I think for that answer, they have to have a strong work ethic. That's the first thing, okay? The main thing in order, to be successful and be able to do that, for your family or even for yourself, you got to have financial discipline. You have to have that financial discipline because, you just as quick as you make money, you can spend it. As quick as you get it, it can go. So you have to have a strong mind and be financial, disciplined. You got to be persistent. You got to be ambitious, intelligent, and you got to have strong decision-making skills, but mainly that's, all of it in a nutshell when it comes to that question for me.
I seen a little spark in you just then. Okay, Dr. Levette, if you want to, you can go ahead and give your input on what is necessary in order to make that shift back to where the man is actually the leader. These young men can actually take on some of the qualities that some of the older men possess and took pride in that these young men are not doing.
Okay, I want to just kind of piggyback on what Coach Wilburn said, because he said a whole lot in just that about minute and 12 seconds. And I'm gonna see if I can do the same. Well, first thing I look at and add into what he said is, one is self-control. We got to teach these kids self-control, how to be in control of themselves, how to be in control of their emotions, their attitudes, their everything. We have to teach them self-control. And along with that comes self-discipline. Like, okay, if you discipline yourself to whatever you're going to do, if you're going to go to college, discipline yourself to go to college. If you're going to go in the military, discipline yourself to go in the military. If you're going to go take a trade, discipline yourself to take a trade. If you're going to discipline yourself to go start a lemonade stand, then discipline yourself. But whatever you got to do, you got to have self-discipline. The difference between discipline and self-discipline, discipline is when I teach you how to be disciplined. But self-discipline is when you can hold yourself accountable to disciplining yourself. You don't need Coach Wilburn or Dr. Dan to come and bring discipline to you, because you'll catch yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are them are two big ones. And then it go right back to what Coach Wilburn said, and that's hard work. We used to have a song in the military that said hard work.
Hard work. That's right.
And if you work hard, you can achieve anything you want to. And basically all of what you're going to hear, you've already heard from Coach Wilburn, from me, and I'm pretty sure you're going to hear from Deacon Dan next, is that we just need to go back to the basics. We need to go back. We know those things work. A lot of those things did work. And I know that society is different. Generations are different. But I do believe, because one thing I know Derek will even agree with, if I'm on the football team and we didn't have a good year. And Coach can attest to this.
Mhm.
What did they say? Let's go back to the basics. Let's go back
Yep.
to the fundamentals.
Always.
You don't start with saying we need better players. We just need to teach better fundamentals.
That's right.
So that okay, I'm gonna stop right there because I felt myself I felt myself going in gear again, Derek.
That was good stuff, man. That was some good stuff.
Sure, for sure. Deacon Dan,
But
how can we get the dynamic of their leadership being so important again?
did you realize that 80% of women are looking for the top 20% of the men?
Wow.
80% are looking for the top 20% of men. The rest of them just in the dust. That's it. But I look at this. You got to have something like a squat. You got to know your strength. They need to know their weakness, their opportunities, and their threats. If you put this SWOT out there and you learn these things, you can do great in providing for your family because you got to, you like I say, your strength, your weakness, your opportunities, your threat. And the weakness cover a financial. You got to know how to handle your finance.
Mm-hmm.
Your threats are whatever coming from the outside. Your opportunities is what come before you. And don't sit on it and and just wait. I don't know if I want to do that. If an opportunity advance to you, look into it and take that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna leave it like that, Derek.
Squat. Strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. I was actually going to put that in the chat. But two things I really want to talk about. Well, really one. Hearing you speak, Dr. Levette, about self-discipline and self-control. In the beginning, when you first started, I was like, what is the difference between self-discipline and self-control? And you kind of went into it a little bit, but self-control is knowing what you want, knowing what it takes to get there, and only doing those things.
Mm-hmm.
And if we look at self-discipline is, okay, I know what I want, I know what it takes to get there, and I'm doing them things. But when I do something that's not in line with what I'm trying to do, then I discipline myself. I take something away from me. I put myself, it's the discipline is not from the outside.
Yes.
It comes from within.
Right.
I make a mistake, I'm going to discipline myself.
Right.
I'm not going to wait on somebody else or life to discipline me. And so that feeds back into the self-control, because I know and understand that if I don't follow the line that I'm in, then I have to discipline myself. So in order to stay away from that discipline, I'm going to continue to stay on that path.
That's right.
So that was some powerful stuff you gave us, Levette. I just wanted to bring a little clarification today.
Yeah.
Good.
So we're getting down to the end, guys, and we've had a great conversation. I want to shout out definitely to Coach Deborah, her book, Build Your Best Life. To everybody that's listening, okay, there you go, doctor. Make sure you get this book. It's powerful tools, techniques that you can use in order to build your best life and live the life that you truly desire to have. I also want to shout out to Evangelist Ricardo Miller. He's one of the guys who has great impact in the conversation with guys, and his impact when it comes to creating the dynamic for what we do here is definitely needed and definitely a pleasure. Another thing is, each and every one of you guys out brings something unique and special. I just want to say thank you to you guys, because a lot of times, we have to miss certain events. We have to rearrange our schedule and miss certain opportunities to be here, and sometimes that's overlooked. But I wanted to out in the open in front of everybody just say that I'm truly grateful to you guys, the time that y'all set apart in order to be a part of these conversations, that the platform and the people who are listening can get these valuable insights, valuable tools in order to really make an impact. You guys are really, just making a big impact to certain lives, man. I just want to say thank you to each and every one of y'all. And just on that note, I want you to start off, Deacon Dan, with your closing words, your summary of our conversation today, and just give the people something to take away from them, take away with them when they leave here.
Well, when a person, low self-esteem is just not, it's just not something that appears, out of nowhere. It's built over time. So if you got low self-esteem, you need to work on that. You need to take what you're doing. You need to be, you got a lack of expectations, your childhood experience. Take these things in account. Allow yourself to be mentored by a mentor that can give you great advice. I'm going beyond good because I would prefer to give you great advice. Stay on the course. Walk a straight line. And don't look back and try to reach back in there and grab something. Leave all that stuff you left behind. Leave it behind. That's even sometimes you might have to leave some of your friends behind.
That's right.
Because where he wants to go, they might not want to go. They don't have that self-esteem. So my thing is, stay on the straight line. Keep a positive attitude. And don't let nothing stop you from gaining that you can build your best life. I'm going to leave it there.
Good stuff.
Well said. Coach Wilbon?
Oh, okay. First of all, I want to say this was a great platform today. This was a great show. It's very important what we talked about, that subject and the topic that we talked about was a great topic. And in my closing remarks, all I want to say is, reach for the stars. I mean, it's out there, just do what's needed to be done, have that self-discipline as we spoke about, be open to suggestions, from your parents and, from the schools, if you are in school or whatever. Seek help if you need help. Don't be ashamed to say, okay, I need help. I need guidance. Get that guidance. Because we all, at one time in our life, once or twice, maybe 3 times, have went to someone to get help. Everybody needs help, so, stay on that straight and narrow, work hard, try to keep yourself motivated. Sometimes it may be tough because of mental issues and stuff like that, but, push yourself, to be the best that you can be because you can, and don't let nobody tell you that you can't do something because you can. But you have to be the captain of your own ship. You have to be in control. You have to have that self-discipline. Okay. So, it's out there, things that you may want to do and things that, you need to take care of. You can get that help. So just stay on the straight and narrow and just know that, everybody has been through what you probably are going through. We all have been through tough times. There's going to be tough times. No one ever said that it's going to be easy. And for the parents, like I had, alluded to earlier, talk to your kids, give them that guidance and, give them that love and give them that support. And, if they got some things they want to do, hear them out and, and help them along the way, so everybody, come out winning. So that's all I have to say. And, God bless y'all for listening to us today.
Bishop Levette, if you would.
Bishop.
Okay. I'm going to just run this quick little list and I'm going to be done. They said it all. The last 2 said it all. First thing I'll say is find out what it is you want to do and go for it. Second thing, put in the work. Third thing, seek mentors to help you navigate through your life. Fourth thing, put in the work.
Mhm.
15, self-control / self-discipline. 16, put in the work. And then the last thing I'll put on that is parents, support your kids in what they want to do and not what you want them to do.
There we go.
That's he.
That's it. That's
Yep.
all I got.
Good stuff.
That last one was he.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many of us as parents try to live our lives through our children. You know, we have that mindset where I want my kids to have what I didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And then we end up giving them what we want them to have instead of what they truly need. And so that really brings me up to something else. The dynamic that we have where women are the strong individuals and the young men are basically passive. What I have seen over time is that the women are the heads of the household, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for so long, they have to be strong. They have to be the breadwinners. And so what they inadvertently do, they directly instill that into their girls, but not into their boys. And so we have a continuous generation of stronger and stronger women and females. But the boys are not being taught that because one, the men are not there to do it. And the women's focus is to perpetuate the strength of a woman and not necessarily instill that into their boys.
Right.
And so that's why we have the dynamic that we have. It didn't just happen overnight. It's been generations and generations of strong women showing these young ladies how to be strong women. And the young men are just, what we see is the women are basically cuddling the boys. They're trying to protect them because if we look at society, what are these young men out here doing? It's dangerous out here for a young man. You got so many young men shooting up, killing, robbing, stealing. And so a lot of women want to keep their sons away from that lifestyle. So they keep them basically in the house. So it's okay for them to stay inside and play video games and do stuff in the house because outside is a little more dangerous. So let me keep you away from that.
That's good. That's good.
And what we're not understanding from is that that's creating a certain mentality within these young men to be sheltered at home instead of getting out in society and facing some of these things and learning from them because their mothers, especially their mothers, are trying to protect them from that society.
Right.
And so that's why this perpetual strong woman, passive man dynamic has been created over time, over generations. And so just with that, I do want to thank everybody who took the time to listen, everybody who opened their hearts and ears to hear what was shared. Thank y'all for participating and listening to this episode of Conversation with the Guys. Have a great day, wonderful weekend, and start on your path to building your best life. Thank you.
Thank you.